Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Although we are already in a post-pandemic world, but virtual and hybrid meetings still remain and probably will continue to be the new normal in our workplace, in your personal life, and even in Toastmasters. Maybe you already heard the news that this year District 100 will hold international speech contest as well as table topics contest. On the area and the division levels, both contests will be virtual only. On the district level, both contests will be hybrid. What this means, it means that we will need a lot of help from people like you to step up as Zoom masters for the contest and provide a fair and smooth competing experience to all the contestants. Therefore, I really appreciate that you take your time today to join this training. Before we dive into the training, I want to clarify on a few assumptions for the training. So first, since you are already all here, I assume you are already a Zoom user. That is, you know how to join a Zoom meeting from your phone, your iPad, or computer. And you probably already have a personal Zoom account. Therefore, we are not going to cover topics related to being a Zoom user, such as how to download a Zoom desktop client, how to join a Zoom meeting, how to mute, unmute yourself, or turn on or turn off your video during the meeting. The second assumption is that you will use or you have a computer for use as a Zoom master. Although you can join a Zoom meeting through your phone, your iPad, or even the computer. Sometimes you can even be a Zoom master using different platforms, but we highly recommend you use a computer to function as a Zoom master. Everything shown in this training is demonstrated using a PC. So if you have a Mac, you just need to figure out where the corresponding Zoom control buttons are. The third thing is that in this training, we will only focus on Zoom meetings, not Zoom webinars. And now with all the assumptions clarified, let's look at the agenda for this training. So first, we are going to talk about the Zoom web portal. Then how to schedule a Zoom meeting on the web portal, how to use a host key to claim as a host for a Zoom meeting. And then we will cover various in-meeting Zoom master controls, including security, participants, chat, record reactions, and the 3 other in-meeting controls, waiting room, screen share, and the breakout room. And now I'm going to temporarily stop sharing and start sharing on another platform. So the first thing we are going to cover is the web portal. Give me 1 second. The Zoom web portal is the Zoom website, zoom.us. And now I'm going to use my club Zoom account as an example. So I will sign into this account. Once you sign in, you will land on the home page for your web portal. Here, I want you to focus on the left-hand side, this navigation panel. In this panel, you will see profile, meetings, and then further going down, you will see settings. These are the 3 things I want you to pay attention to for this training. In the profile, you will see you can update your image, change your name, and also check the license for your account. For example, this account is a license. It's not a free account. It will allow 100 participants to be on the meeting at the same time. And then let's go to the meetings part. And this will be where you will see the upcoming meeting, the previous meeting, and some other information. We will come back to this meeting session a little bit later. The next part is the settings part. This is where you are going to set up the settings for all the meetings in your account. Here you will see the meeting setting and other things, including the webinar settings. But we're not going to talk about those, so we will focus on the meetings settings. In the meetings setting, you will see another 5 subsections. That is security, schedule meeting, in-meeting basic, in-meeting advanced, email notification, and other. So a good practice for Zoom Master is you always go through all the settings before an important meeting, just to make sure every setting is properly set. At this point, I'm not going to go through every single one by one, but I just want to let you know that, for example, if you want to change a specific setting just for one setting, what you can do is use this search bar. Let's use the chat as an example. You just want to check whether the setting for chat is proper for your meeting. You can type in chat and then click enter. And here you will see all the settings related to meeting chat, and you can make changes accordingly. That's something I found very useful, and you can quickly go to a specific setting. And now let's talk about how to schedule a meeting. For this purpose, we need to go to the meetings session. In the upcoming meeting, you will see all the meetings you have set up for the future. In order to schedule a meeting, you will go to the right-hand side, click on schedule a meeting. And then on the next page, you can give your meeting name. Let's just say test. And then we can schedule that to 11 a.m. today. Duration, you can choose 1 hour, 2 hour, or like this learning lab, it's 4 hours. And you can choose your time zone. Registration. For any meetings that are open to public, such as this one, I would always recommend you to enable registration. When you enable registration, the attendees will need to enter their information before they acquire the Zoom link. This way, you can track the attendees, and also at the end of the meeting, you can have a list of attendees you can follow up with. So it's always a good practice. And then for meeting ID, I always use the generate automatically instead of using the personal meeting ID. And keep going downward. Whether you want to have a passcode is always a good practice to be enabled. And sometimes you may want to enable waiting room. This way, no one will directly goes to your meeting, and they will be kept in the waiting room before the host join. And scrolling down, you will see the options. When you click on show, you will see some other options. For example, whether you will allow participants to join anytime. If you have a waiting room, whether the participants join anytime or not, it won't make too much difference. But if you do not enable waiting room, then the participants can sometimes join before the host. And that will be useful when we talk about host key just a little bit later today. And then you can choose to mute participants upon entry, whether you want to pre-assign breakout rooms. That's another option you can do. And you can request permission you can ask the participants to request permission to unmute themselves. And whether you will enable automatic record or block entry to users from specific countries or regions. Once you make sure you check everything, you can click on save. And now a meeting has been scheduled. All you need to do, you can copy the invitation and paste this whole invitation in your email to all the participants. That's how you schedule a meeting. And then now I'm going to stop sharing. After our next schedule is to talk about the host key. So the Zoom host key is always used when the Zoom account holder cannot attend the meeting. And also he or she doesn't want to share this Zoom login information with another person. In this case, the host key would be very useful. Another situation that has been used for contest season is that we want to make sure all the contests are run on the same condition. Therefore, the Zoom settings have been preset for before all the contests. And we don't want any Zoom master to accidentally change any Zoom settings. In this case, we just give the host key to all the Zoom masters, so they can start the meeting as a Zoom host, but they won't change any meeting settings. At this point, I'm going to share a small video to show you how to use host key to claim the host, and also how to change the host key if necessary. The reason I'm using a video is because on the Zoom, a lot of things I do as a host on my end cannot be easily shared through the Zoom itself. Therefore, video probably is a better option to show you how things can be done. Can everyone see my screen?
Hello, in this session, I'm going to talk about how to use host key to claim host control for a Zoom meeting. I just joined a Zoom meeting. At this point, I'm only a participant in this meeting. For example, the breakout room is usually a Zoom control that is specific for the Zoom host, and I cannot see that here. Another reason I know that I'm only an attendee is that when I become a host for this Zoom meeting, all I need to do is to click on the Claim Host button on the lower right corner, and then in the pop-up window, enter the 6-digit PIN that has been given to me by the Zoom account owner. And now I can claim host. Two things you will notice. First, in the participants section, you will see host beside my name. And second, on the bottom of the Zoom control panel, you will see a lot more controls that I can use as a Zoom host. And now I'm going to end this meeting and show you how to view and even edit this Zoom host key in your Zoom account. What I need to do is log into the Zoom account, sign into the Zoom account, and in the navigation panel on the left, you will see a lot of control. First, click on Profile. In the Profile section, scroll down a little bit. In the Meeting section, you will see the host key. And here you will see an eye icon. Click on that. You will be able to view the 6-digit host key for your Zoom account. And if you want to update this host key, all you need to do is click on the Edit button to the right. And then you can edit this host key and save again. And this is how you are going to use host key to claim Zoom host to control a Zoom meeting. Thank you for watching.
Okay, now you become a Zoom host. What's next is you are going to change a lot of controls during the meeting. And now I'm going to share another video talking about how to do the in-meeting Zoom master controls on different control buttons. Just give me 1 second. Let me share the screen. Let's talk about the in-meeting Zoom controls. Let's still use a Zoom meeting as an example. In this meeting, we have 2 participants, and I am the Zoom host. Specifically, I want to talk about, as a Zoom host, what I can do for this meeting. I will focus on the security, participants, chat, record, and also reactions button. First, let's go through security options. When you click on security button, you will see some options here. The first one is lock meeting. Lock meeting, as indicated by the name, it means that you have, as a Zoom host, you have locked the meeting and nobody else can join the meeting. You can choose to unlock, then new participants can still join the meeting. The second option is to enable waiting room. It means that from now on, if you enable the waiting room, any new participants will be moved to the waiting room first and waiting for the Zoom host to allow them to enter the meeting. The third option is to hide profile pictures. Some people, when they set up their Zoom account, they added a profile pictures. If you choose to hide profile pictures, then what we can see on the Zoom window is everyone's name. However, if you choose to unhide a profile picture, then the people who have the profile picture will show the picture here. Then in the middle, you will see some options to control the meeting participants. By clicking or unclicking these options, you will allow participants to share screen, to chat, to rename themselves, to unmute themselves, to start a video, or share whiteboards. On the bottom, you have 2 options to either remove a participant or suspend the participant activities. If you choose to remove some participant because they are not behaving properly in the meeting, you click on Remove Participant. Then on the right, you will see the list of all the meeting participants. And next to each meeting, there's a Remove button. You can choose to specifically remove one participant. And next, let's move on to the participants control panel. The Zoom meeting, you will see the participants window. Here you will see all the meeting participants, including yourself. To the right of each participant's name, you will see some options. If they are muted, you can choose to unmute them, ask them to unmute themselves. And then in the 3 dots, you will have more options to control each participant. For example, you can chat with a specific participant. You can ask them to start their video. You can pin a specific participant. You can make them host, co-host, rename them, put them back into the waiting room, remove them, or even report them. Here, I want to focus on the pin. When you pin a specific participant, you can see that this participant becomes the major view in your Zoom window. And I want to remind you that by pinning someone, you are just changing the local view for yourself. That means all the other meeting attendees, they do not see this participant specifically. If you want to highlight a participant for all the meeting attendees, as a Zoom host, what you need to do is not pinning someone, but to spotlight someone. So here we need to remove the pin. In order to spotlight any meeting attendees, these meeting attendees need to start their video first. And now let me start the video for participant number 1 as well as participant number 2. At this point, if you hover to the 3 dots next to the participant name, you will see the option to spotlight for everyone. And you click on that, you will spotlight this specific attendee for everyone in this meeting. Here, if you want to spotlight 2 people at the same time, you can choose to add another person to Spotlight. And now you can see two people are side by side spotlighted. Or another way is you can remove the spotlighting for one person and replace the other one. And at this point, we can remove spotlight for everyone. The spotlight, the three dots next to each participant's name, will allow us to specifically control that one participant. In order to control all the participants at the same time, we will come to the bottom and see more options here. First, in the blue Mute All button, as indicated by this name, when you click on this button, all the participants will be muted at the same time. You want to be cautious when you use this control because if someone is speaking actively and you mute all, that speaker will also be muted. And then next to the mute all button, there is another three dots. When you click on it, we can see some further options. You can choose to ask all to unmute or mute. You can mute participants upon entry, means when they join the meeting. You can choose to allow participants to unmute themselves, allow participants to rename themselves, play sound when someone joins or leaves, enable waiting room, and hide profile picture or lock the meeting. As you can see, some of these controls are identical to the controls that you see in the security option. Another way to control meeting participants individually is to go to their specific Zoom window, and here you can see the three dots on the upper right corner. These three dots will do the same function as you see for the three dots next to their name. Now we are done with the participants window. Let's close this window and go to the next session, that is chat. When we click on chat, again on the right hand side you will see the chat window. The chat window is where you can communicate with meeting participants. You can choose to communicate with everyone in the meeting or specifically privately to send a text message to each participant. To the right hand side of this chat window, you will see three more options. The first one is a paper icon. When you click on this, this is where you can share a file to everyone in the meeting as a Zoom host. The second one is an emoji, where you can type emoji and share with people. The third one is three dots. When you click on this, you will see more options for the chat that will allow participants can chat with nobody, or host and co-host only, or everyone, and the last one is everyone and anyone directly. When this option is selected, it will allow all participants to private chat and also publicly chat with everyone. And now we are done with the chat session, and let's move on to the record. The record button, when you click on this, there are two options. One is record on this computer, and the second one is to record to the cloud. If you are using a Zoom account, public Zoom account, for example, your club Zoom account, the best option is always to record to the cloud. This way, other people can have access to the recorded video. The last Zoom control we want to talk about is the reaction button. If you click on the reaction button, you will see a lot of emojis to choose from, as well as the raise hand button. Now let's see what happens when a participant raises their hand and what you can do as a Zoom host. Here, we just saw that participant number 1 raised the hand, and his window was automatically moved to the first position in the whole Zoom window. At this point, not only you will see that in the main Zoom window, but also if you click on participants, you will see a hand raised next to participant 1's name, as well as a hand that is shown on the lower portion in this window. If participant number 1 finished his or her discussion, and you can, as a Zoom host, what you can do is lower their hand. And then his window will be moved back to the original position. And this is what I want to cover for in-meeting Zoom control. Thank you for watching. I know this is a little bit long video. Yes, we have a raised hand. Judy?
Yeah. Could you expound on chat enable to everyone, and then the one below that says everyone and anybody? What's the difference between those two?
So the difference is if you just enable the chat to everyone, that means everyone can only chat publicly, not privately. For a lot of Zoom meetings, for example, you just want certain information, for example, to me, like you don't want anybody else to see those information. That's called a private chat. And that can only be enabled when you select everyone and everyone privately. Does that make sense?
Wasn't there an option for everyone only?
Everyone only is for public chatting, not for private.
Oh, and then the last one is everyone and what?
And the last one is everyone and anyone privately.
Oh, so they can only send it to anyone privately, but not to everybody. Is that what you mean?
No, the last option, if you enabled, so that means you can chat publicly to everyone, and also you can choose to privately chat to anyone in the meeting.
Yeah,
The third option, the option above that, if you select that one, you can only chat to everyone publicly, but not a private chat to any single person.
oh, I see. So that's everyone is only for public
Yeah.
consumption, but never privately.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. So when would you want to do that? I'm trying to think of.
I really don't know. I don't personally, I don't use that. I only use the last one or the host co-host. If we don't want people to chat, we just use host co-host. This way, if anyone wants to say something, they can only talk to the host or co-host. Personally, I haven't used the third option yet.
No, thank you.
Sure. Yes, Rohan?
Hi, Zin. One question. So, if a participant pins someone, then does that impact the host screen also?
Say that again.
So, if a participant pins some screen, right? Like there are,
Yes.
for example, there in group chat, there are so many screens, right? So, if I pin someone who is in the meeting room with the others, would that impact the host also, like whatever host was sharing, or like?
No. So the pin is more like a private action on your end. You pin someone, you see that you focus on a specific person. But the host, when they spotlight, when they share it, it won't be affected by how you do it. Actually, my understanding is when the host spotlights someone, your pin may not work. That's my understanding.
And for a host, what is the difference between pin and spotlight if you are the host?
So if I am the host, I pin someone, I will see that person in my view only. But if I spotlight someone, everyone else will see the person I spotlight. Does that make sense? Spotlight is for everyone pin is just for my own. It doesn't matter whether I'm a host or I'm just an attendee. I can pin anyone. But that won't affect the view for any other attendants.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Jim.
I heard you say earlier about the allowing the Zoom link, trying to like not force people to register and then to let the host let them in. So I've seen pros and cons between enabling, the Zoom meeting, like for our clubs, and then allowing people to just come straight in. It's a lot easier. And now this is my opinion. I would like to hear what other club members' experiences are on this too, and yours. The difference is if I force someone to register, I could lose a potential prospective guest, versus just posting the Zoom link onto the club website. They can then join easily. So how do you feel about it? Have you experienced any hackers? And maybe some of the other club attendees could share too. But I'd like to hear from you at first.
Okay. As a Toastmaster club, we are open to everyone, especially if you're a community club. That's why we always say, let's share the Zoom link to in our Facebook website, any website available, so people can join. And then we have been doing that for like over 2 years, and then we got a Zoom bomber. I don't know how people define that, but then yes, someone just click on the link, join the meeting, and they did something very inappropriate for the whole group to see. So that's something we try to avoid. That's why we use a waiting room. When we see a name that is weird, we want to be cautious. Even if we can let the person in, we want to keep an eye on that person. So if anything happens, we can quickly remove that person. That's just a caution we take by watching, after that accident. Any other people have some experience? Yes, Heather.
Yeah, Johnny probably turned on her camera for exactly the same reason. We had to set ours up with a registration and a waiting room because we had so many Zoom bombers, just repetitive. Every week they were showing up, and then they would show up and they would be like, I joined Toastmasters to try to learn how to public speak. Like they had the language down, and then they would show us their butt and things like that. So just be cautious.
That was child porn, by the way.
Yeah,
That was a
we were
kid.
underage. So be very cautious with who you let into meetings. As much of a pain as it is to have the pre-registration and the waiting room, it's a safeguard. There are people who have nothing better to do than mess with unsuspecting Toastmasters.
Thank you for sharing, Heather.
Yeah, Jim, we're not trying to discourage you from doing that, but just in case things happen, be prepared to act fast.
Act fast. Okay, thank you.
You don't want too many members to see certain things. Okay, now let's talk about waiting rooms. Waiting room is an important feature. First, as we just talked about, it's a safety issue. And also for contests, it's specifically important because many judges, when they enter a Zoom room, we don't want their name to be shown. And that's why we use the waiting room. And we can do something to control those judges so that they can remain anonymous when they enter the Zoom room. And now let's share another video about, just give me 1 second. Let me share the waiting room. In this session, we are going to talk about managing the waiting room in a Zoom meeting. Let's see how this is done. And now we are in a Zoom meeting. I am the Zoom host. In order to enable the waiting room, we can go to the security. And here you can see the enable waiting room is already clicked. and activated. That's why we also see that on the top, there is a notice saying participant number 1 has entered the Zoom room, the waiting room. And at this point, you may choose to admit this participant or just simply view him or her. If you choose to view, you can see in the participants session, you as the host is already joined the meeting, and in the waiting room, we have a participant number 1. Again, next to the name, you have the option to admit, or you have some further option to control these people in the waiting room. The option here is you can remove them from the waiting room, then they can no longer enter this meeting, or you can rename them. The rename function is critical if, for example, during a contest, we have some judges. Their name should not be revealed to anyone in the meeting, and the waiting room is the best place that we can rename these judges. Here, for example, we can rename participant number 1 into judge number 1. And this way, when they enter this meeting, no one will know who they are. Another option is while you are still preparing for a meeting, you do not want any non-essential participants to join the meeting too early. At this point, you also want them to know that you understand they are here. Therefore, you may want to send them a message saying, we are preparing for the meeting, and we'll let you in by 8:45 a.m. for example. Thank you for your patience. And this chat message will only be visible to the people in the waiting room, not anyone that already joined the meeting. This is how we can do about managing the waiting room. Thank you for watching. Okay, any questions for this part?
I thought it was funny as soon as you started into the waiting room, Rohan came back into the waiting room, like right on cue.
Okay, I saw Judy raise her hand before, at the beginning when I played the video. Judy, do you have any questions or comments?
You answered it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then let's see what we can do about the screen share. Screen share is a common feature many people use when they do speech, when they do seminars like Johnny was doing for her presentation, and I have been doing for mine. So screen share is a useful Zoom functions that can benefit not just the Zoom master, but also anyone using a Zoom. And then give me 1 second. In this session, we are going to talk about a screen share in a Zoom meeting. As a Zoom master, you are often given the task to do the screen share while still attending to the chat session and maybe monitor the participants. Therefore, learning how to properly do the screen share is important for your job. And now let's see how this is done. Let's go to a Zoom meeting. I am the Zoom host. Zoom provides several different ways to do screen share, and everything starts from the green Share Screen button. Next to this green button, you can see a small arrow here. Let's check it out. When you click on this arrow, you see 2 options. First, it will ask you who can do the share. You can choose between host only and all participants. And the second question is who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. Again, you can choose between host only and all participants. These 2 options just give the Zoom host a little bit more control for the screen share during a Zoom meeting. And now let's close this window and click on the screen share screen button. In the pop-up window, you will see 3 tabs. The first one is Basic. It provides the basic screen share functions. And the second one is Advanced. It provides some advanced screen share options. And the third one is Files, which allow you to share files from different cloud services, such as Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, or SharePoint. In this session, let's focus on the basic screen share. I have 2 computer monitors, therefore you will see screen 1 and screen 2. I also have some apps open right now. For example, I have a browser and also I have a PowerPoint slide. Now I want to talk about the difference between share a screen and share an app. If you choose to share a screen, as indicated by the name, everything you activated on that screen will be shown to the audience. Therefore, sharing screen is a good choice if during your speech you need to switch between different apps. For example, if you have to switch between a PowerPoint slides and also the browser video on the YouTube, then share screen is a good option. However, if as a Zoom master, while sharing the screen, you need to check the chat session and maybe open the participants session, then share screen probably is not very good because other people will see what you are chatting with the audience. In this case, you may want to share a specific app only, for example, a PowerPoint slides. When you share the app only, even if you have the chat open and overlap with this app, it won't be shown to the audience. Another thing I want to point out here is that if you share a video with sound, please remember to check this share sound button. Otherwise, when you play the video, the audience won't hear the sound. But even if you forget to check this, click on this button, we still have a different way to fix this. Now let's say we are going to share a YouTube video and we didn't click on this share sound button. During the sharing, the audience suggests when you play the video, the audience suggests they couldn't hear anything. And now one option is you can stop share and restart the share again. And this time, remember to click on share sound. Another option is you can just go to the more, the 3 dots on the Zoom control panel. And in the drop-down menu, go to share sound. Click on it. Then your sound will be automatically shared to the audience. A good practice for a Zoom master when he or she has to do screen share is always be prepared. If you already know what material you are going to share during the Zoom meeting, have those material up and ready to go. This way, when you do the screen share, the transition will be more smooth and seamless. Thank you for Okay, any questions? Yes, Judy.
Yes. Now, I noticed you had the option of sharing iPad or phone. So
Yes.
how would you bring your phone to your Zoom meeting to be shared?
You need to connect your phone to the computer first, or you can do Bluetooth share. That part, to be honest, I haven't tried it before. I can go back to check that and let you know. How's that? I want to make sure I give you the correct information.
I wonder, could you have both the iPad and the phone, one by Bluetooth and one by USB or
And you want to share both at the same time?
Yeah, I wonder, or share one. You can only share one. I don't think you can share both, but you could have both be up there I wonder if that's possible, you know, one by Bluetooth and one by USB.
I think that's definitely possible. It's just how to do it is something I need to figure out. Or maybe Andrew can provide some clarification. Andrew, are
Repeat
you
the
there?
question.
The question is, during the screen share, there are options for connecting iPad or your phone.
Okay.
How to do that exactly? Have you ever tried those before?
It all depends what you have. It depends what system you're using. Those are very, very detailed questions that normally come up on use by use or case by case basis. So I'd say, like, if you have questions around that when it comes up, like, ask one of us. I've personally never had to do that. So I have no idea because I've never done it. I mean, if you have a Mac and you're using an iPad or an iPhone, it's pretty simple. You just AirPlay, you know. But like if you're on a PC, I don't know the options on that side. So it all is going to depend what you're using, how you're using it, things like that. And just so you know, because this is a good thing to bring up, as you can see, like when Shin shared her screen today, you're able to see all of her Zoom controls. That is actually a setting enabled in the Zoom account. So it's not, I don't think it's enabled by default. So you actually have to go in and check, like you're doing something like this, you want to show other people how to use Zoom, you actually have to go into your account and check to show your Zoom window when you're sharing your screen. But be careful with that, because if you leave it on and you're private messaging someone, it comes up and shows everyone. So just note that.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's a good feature to enable it when you're trying to tutor somebody on Zoom, so they can see which buttons.
Yes, it is.
And then that leads to my next question. Yeah. And
Sure.
the advanced sharing is an option to share a PowerPoint. Yeah. Now, I don't have PowerPoint. However, I use LibreOffice, okay? And I use presentation through LibreOffice. And I was talking with somebody yesterday because I'm not able to insert myself into that little thing within the sharing PowerPoint, you know how you can do that fancy feature. But somebody said convert my LibreOffice file to PPT, which is a PowerPoint. But I tried that and I can still never open it, because what I mean is that sharing screen as a PowerPoint is always grayed out for me. Has anybody had success using LibreOffice or any other thing besides Office?
What I would
Microsoft Office.
suggest in this moment is that these are very, very specific questions on user basis. I'd say have Shin put her email in the chat for everyone. Reach out to Shin and she could take some time offline and you know, try to see if there is an issue. Maybe your computer has a setting it's not allowing it to detect it. It depends. The biggest tech answer for any support related thing is it depends. So yeah, that's very user specific. So I'd say let's do that offline.
Yeah, but does she know? If she does, I'll email her. But if not, I don't want to.
Let's just say this. I train Shin. Now Shin trains everyone else. So Shin is very knowledgeable.
No,
Did
I'm
I
not.
email you, Shin? Do you think you know that? Otherwise, I won't bother.
I've never tried the LibreVox. No, I never tried that, but I did try the PowerPoint sharing. Yes, that works.
Yeah,
So
PowerPoint
if you
works.
can convert that successfully to PowerPoint, theoretically, it should work. Yes, Rohan?
Hi, Shin. So one quick question. When we do share everything, right? Share whole screen. Then if we do a pause share, what do the participants see?
During my first video sharing, did you guys notice any pause in my video? No?
I don't recall.
Okay, because on my end, when I try to open the chat, I saw a new message in the chat. I tried to open that and I saw the sharing was paused. But somehow, if you guys don't feel anything, that means you probably won't feel. You in the audience side, you may not notice much.
It doesn't go to a black screen, but just pauses whatever the last snapshot was, right?
Yeah, it could be just like you feel like, oh, there's a glitch there, it's pausing, a slowdown, but yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we have one more video to go. I promise it will be done fast. Okay, let me do the sharing. This session, let's talk about how to run breakout rooms in a Zoom session. Now I'm in a Zoom meeting with 2 other participants, and I am the Zoom host. In order to start a breakout room, I will go to the Zoom control panel on the bottom, and you will look for the breakout room button. Click on this button. In the pop-up window, you will see 3 options. The first one is Assign Automatically. This option means that the Zoom will automatically assign the participants into the breakout rooms. For example, if you have 20 participants in a Zoom meeting and you want to group them into a group of 4 people, that means you will total need 5 breakout rooms. Once you click on the 5 breakout room and create, the Zoom will randomly assign every 4 people into each breakout room. And the second option is to assign manually. This means that the Zoom master, the Zoom host, will manually assign each participant into their corresponding breakout rooms. And the third one is let participants choose room, just as the phrase indicates. If you choose this option, then all the participants in the meeting will have the freedom to choose which room they want to go to. And now let's use the Toastmaster contest as an example to see how we can use breakout room in that case. For the contest, we know that we need to run a briefing for the contestants as well as for the judges. Therefore, we want to assign 2 breakout rooms, 2 separate breakout rooms. One is for contestants, one is for judges. And in this case, I will always choose Assign manually, and then I will click Create. After you create, you can see there are Room 1 and Room 2. Sometimes just for your own benefit, I would like to name them clearly. This way I won't be confused. So I will name one room Contestants and the second room Judges. After I name different rooms, I know, okay, for example, participant number 1 is actually a contestant, which means participant number 1 should go to contestant's room. Therefore, in the Assign button, I will click on participant number 1. And the participant number 2 is actually a judge. Therefore, I will assign participant number 2 to the judge's room. And you can see each person is assigned to the corresponding room. Before I open all rooms, one very important thing is to check the options. On the option window, you can see a few more options. The first one is allow participants to choose room. Since you already assigned each one to their corresponding room, I won't click on this one. The second one is allow participants to return to the main session at any time. And this one you should decide based on the situation whether you want them to come back or not. And in this case, let's assume we do not want them to come back unless we let them back. The third one is automatically move all assigned participants into breakout room. This is a very convenient function because this one will automatically move the participants into their assigned room without troubling them to select whether they will go or not. So normally I would like to use this one if I know for sure for sure which participant will go to which breakout rooms. And the next one is breakout rooms close automatically after some time. Sometimes in a meeting, we know that we only allow 5 minutes for a group discussion. Therefore, if you know that, you can click on this breakout room and then change the time to 5 minutes. But in this case, let's unclick it. And the last one is countdown after closing breakout room. This option gives the breakout room a buffer time, which means that when the Zoom Master click close all rooms, the attendees in each room may still have some time to wrap up their final thoughts. And the time can range from 10 seconds to 2 minutes. And you can choose that. In this case, let's just choose 10 seconds. And now we double check all options are what we need, and we can open all rooms. Just as expected, the participant number 1 automatically goes to contestants room, and the participant number 2 automatically goes to the judges room. During the meeting, if you feel okay, we are close to the discussion time, you can broadcast by either message or by voice. If you choose to broadcast by message, you can click on that and say, discussion session ends in 5 minutes, for example, and then broadcast. Then everyone in the breakout room will be able to see this message. And at the end of the discussion session, you can close all rooms. It will ask you to double check whether you really want to close all rooms. And it will also tell you all participants will be returned to the main session in 10 seconds. And this 10 seconds is what you have chosen in the options. Now you can close all sessions, and they still have 10 seconds to wrap up their thoughts. On the bottom, you will see the countdown for the 10 seconds. And now, if we close this window, you can see everyone is back in the main session. And this is how breakout room is set up during a Zoom meeting. Any questions? If not, let's wrap up this session. I hope you all have learned a lot today, and just one last screen share. I just want to talk about the good practice as a Zoom master. So always remember to update your Zoom, the desktop app, is specifically before an important meeting. And also you want to find a Zoom buddy, or you can use multiple devices when you want to try the Zoom functions to see how everything works. And always acquire the meeting agenda or some Zoom Master Handbook from the people organizing a meeting, and always be prepared. Understand whether you will use the breakout room for the session, if there are any slides, images, videos, or even music you need to share during a meeting. And normally you will want at least 2 Zoom masters for a meeting, just in case anyone gets disconnected or there are any technical issues. The backup Zoom master can always step up quickly. And also during some meetings, you will see that the Zoom master has a lot of things to handle. Therefore, splitting the work between 2 Zoom masters is a good option. And the last one is practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. Thank you very much. And that's all I have for this session.